Good evening and welcome to this October 30th edition of Eastcast. I'm Pete Gout with Dan Caruso to bring you the news of the week. This past Friday night from 7:30 to 10:30 in the auditorium, the annual variety show took place. The variety show had 11 acts performed by students from East. Some acts included music, lip sync, dances, and juggling. The tickets for the show cost $4 at the door. Part of the proceeds from ticket sales went to the Eaton Foundation, a charity that was set up to help find a cure for a rare muscular disorder. All in all, the variety show was great entertainment that had East-owned students showcasing their talents. It was anybody's game to win right up to the last play in Sunday's Powder Puff game at East. The tone was set in the first quarter as both teams were able to move the ball but could not score. The seniors opened the second quarter with an apparent touchdown only to have it called back for a penalty, and that enabled the juniors to get on the scoreboard first. However, the seniors weren't far behind as they scored before the end of the half also. The seniors were not able to convert the extra point, and that would be the difference in the game. The seniors had a chance late in the fourth quarter as they marched to within 10 yards of the goal line, but were unable to get the ball into the end zone. That gave the win to the juniors 7-6 in what was one of the most closely fought contests in a few years. Congratulations to both teams and to the coaches who helped create two very tough and evenly matched teams. Some outstanding players were Devin Glick and Christy Erickson for the juniors and Christine Farrell for the seniors.
From 7:30 to 10:30.
For anyone that likes to dress up on Halloween and have a great time, there is a masquerade dance coming up. It is sponsored by the Thespian Society. The dance takes place this Saturday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. Tickets are $5 and are available at the door. There will be food, music with a DJ, as well as prizes given away throughout the night. Everyone is welcome, so get your costumes out of the closet, put them on, and come to the dance this Saturday. It will be a great time.
This week is Red Ribbon Week, and along with Red Ribbon Week comes the Red Ribbon Assembly, which was held today in the auditorium. The assembly focused on the negatives of drugs and alcohol and how to stay away from them. This year's assembly necessitated a change in the schedule. Grades 10 and 12 saw it first and second period, and then went to a special homeroom from 12:43 to 12:50. At which time the 9th and 11th grades went to see the assembly 7th and 8th period. Last Friday, East Home and School Association sponsored the teacher luncheon in FO 70. Teachers were welcomed in all day long to have lunch. They chose from a variety of lunches which included cold cuts, roast beef, pies, and lots of desserts. From the looks on the teachers' faces, it seemed as if they wouldn't mind having this every day. On Thursday the 24th, Mr. Haynes' World Civ and Mrs. Schuster's English classes went to the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. The purpose of the trip, which lasted from 9:45 to 2 o'clock, was to examine the artifacts from the ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians, Mayans, Sumerians, and Kush. About 53 freshmen made the trip along with Mr. Haynes, Terranova, Collins, and Mrs. Schuster. The students were praised for good behavior and will be attending other trips throughout the year. And now an important announcement that this is the final week to buy yearbooks for $60. You can only pay in checks and they can be made out to the Cherry Hill East yearbook. Be sure to specify your name, homeroom, and grade on the check. And an important reminder to anyone working on blood drive publicity that meetings began on Tuesday and go until tomorrow of this week. If you signed up to work publicity and want to work on the blood drive, you must come to the meetings and help out. And a sports announcement that the Cherry Hill East boys gymnastics team is 7-1. Their only loss was to state champs Northern Hunterton, which makes them number 1 in South Jersey. The state championships will be held November 7th at Shawnee at 7 o'clock. Brian Tobin, a junior, broke the floor exercise record, previously held by Michael Silvestro, who's now attending the West Point Military Academy, where he received a full scholarship on their gymnastics team. The previous record was 9.1. Brian's new record is 9.2. Now let's go over to Matt with the other sports.
All right. Congratulations to freshman Debbie Goodman on being selected as the Courier Post Performer of the Week in Gymnastics. Debbie gained that title on the strength of her wins in the balance beam and floor exercise, as well as the all-around. The wins came as East defeated West last Thursday. Coach Doreen Deal described Debbie as a powerhouse performer who works hard and is a perfectionist. Debbie has qualified for the sectionals, and we at Eastcast wish her all the best. Cherry Hill East boys varsity soccer team still remains the number 1 team in South Jersey with a record of 11-0-1. With the regular season coming to an end, East wanted to keep their undefeated record intact. Last week against Eastern, senior forward John David gave Cherry Hill East the winning goal in a 1-0 victory. The team's next challenge was hardly a battle. Edgewood gave Cherry Hills no problems with a 6-0 blowout. Goals were scored by senior Jared Berman, juniors Pat McColney and Sterling, and sophomore Mark Lewis. Cherry Hills stepped it up and dominated Edgewood on both sides of the field. Their toughest match came last Friday away at Lenape. This was the most grueling and competitive game that Cherry Hills has faced all season. Senior Doug Vasquez gave East their only goal in the game to keep the score at a 1-1 tie. The game went into overtime, but the score remained the same. With this tie, the Cherry Hill East boys soccer team clinched the Olympic Conference and took the #1 seed in the South Jersey Coaches Tournament, which starts on Wednesday. Cherry Hill East will face Rancocas in the first round at Heritage Field. The most recent fact about the East boys varsity soccer team is that they are currently ranked #2 in the state. The success the soccer team has achieved this season is tremendous, and hopefully the postseason play will be even better. Wow, this is one of many words to describe East girls soccer team this week. On Monday, they played at Eastern and won 3-2 in overtime. Goals were scored by Meredith Sobel, Janelle Purcell, and Karen Davis. Nikki J played excellent in goal. On Wednesday, they played against Edgewood at home and won 5-1. Goals by Jamie Castleman, Julie Gurman, and Karen Davis helped out the blowout. On Friday, they played against Lenape at home and lost a tough match in overtime 2-1. Meredith Sobel scored the lone goal, and Nikki J played another great game in goal. Stephanie Singer said, "We played tough Monday and Wednesday, but we let down on Friday. We should have won that game." This week, the girls play Monday at Bishop Eustace. On Wednesday, they play in the prestigious Coaches Tournament against Haddonfield at home. To cap off the week on Friday, they play at home versus Collingswood. Their record is 8-3-2 and are ranked in the top 10 in South Jersey. The girls' tennis team continued its winning ways this week. Its most important win of the season came on Thursday when it defeated Shawnee 5-0 for the South Jersey Group 4 title. On Tuesday, it had beaten Toms River East 4-1 in the semifinals. On Friday, the team had a 5-0 conference win over Lenape. Today the team traveled to Mercer County Park to play Middleton South in the semifinals of the state Group 4 tournament. On Friday, the Cougars will play Middle Township in the finals of the postponed Morristown Classic. In football, the Cougars lost Saturday 21-0 to the Eastern Vikings. Eastern back Jason Hill, number 42 in your picture, paced the offense with 3 touchdowns. The Cougars did, however, move the ball effectively through the air as Don Hampton went 18 of 39 for 202 yards and 1 interception. That's it for sports this week. I'm Matt Snyder, and I'd also like to thank our sports writers, Rebecca Rosner for tennis, Eli Goldstein and Josh Goldstein for boys soccer, and John Lukacher for girls soccer. Thanks, guys. That's it for sports.
That's it for the news tonight. A special thanks to Mr. Gordon Hampson, our cameraman and editor, and to Mr. Keith Haynes, advisor. Thank you for joining Mark Plovinsky, our cameraman, along with Matt Snyder and Peter Geld. I'm Daniel Caruso. Stay tuned for the East-West girls field hockey game, which follows the news, and join us again next week on Eastcast. Good night.
We here at West are shocked and grieved over the news of senior Chad Hopkins' death. Chad was killed yesterday in a motorcycle accident. Our sincerest condolences are extended to Chad's family and to his many friends here at West.
Good evening and welcome to the West Report. I'm Stephanie Gans.
And I'm Andrea Fulton. Yesterday morning, seniors and sophomores reported to the auditorium, and in the afternoon, 9th and 11th grade attended an assembly by Saltworks. To celebrate Red Ribbon Week, Saltworks performed I Am the Brother of Dragons, dramatizing the grave consequences of drug and alcohol abuse. Our field reporter, Andy Ward, caught up with the cast.
He was one of the beginning founding members of Saltworks Theater Company. And I Am the Brother of Dragons came out in 1982. We've been performing it to high schools pretty much since then, roughly about 100,000 kids total, usually a year. And pretty much the show is based on an average American family going through situations of chemical dependency. Anything else?
How long have you all been involved in Gorelick?
This is my third non-consecutive year. The rest of them.
This is our first involvement with it. We just began in August of 90.
What made you want to get involved in Gorelick?
I think all of us have been involved in theater, ever since high school, and this is over four. And this was an opportunity we could use our theater skills, kind of as a ministry, come out to the kids, present our message that we've all endorsed and believe in. And so it was just a good opportunity to use the talent that we have.
Yeah, Saltworks is actually all the theater, all the pieces that we do, and the social issues like violence, drug and alcohol abuse, AIDS, abstinence, and we all just kind of have a heart for letting people know what's really going on out there, and that's what we do.
Right. What does Gorelick stand for?
Actually, Saltworks, we get it from the Bible, from the book of Matthew. And it's when Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he tells his disciples to go out and be the salt of the world. Which when we think about salt and what salt does for us, we think that it adds spice to life. It preserves. And number three, it makes people thirsty for more. And what we're hoping that we're preserving is the life of the kids out there. We hope that we're adding spice by giving them something new to try other than drugs and alcohol abuse. And lastly, that we'll make them thirsty to want more, which is more of maybe what we believe in and where we live on. So be role models.
Okay, thanks.
Last Friday, October 24th, the intro photography class took a field trip to the Philadelphia Zoo. It was from 10 until 1:15. Each student received a free roll of film. Students photographed animals and nature. The student's overall favorite animal was a polar bear. He put on a show rolling around with the ball and swimming all around. Other favorites were the hippos, turtles, monkeys, giraffes, and lion cubs. This was a fun day for everyone.
Last weekend, Theater Workshop presented its annual children's show, The Emperor's New Clothes. The play was an original adaptation by Sharon A. Cole of the story by Hans Christian Andersen. Last Wednesday, the company went to Russell Knight's Payne, Kingston, and Kilmer elementary schools, acting out parts of the play to promote the show. This also promoted the drama program for the future high school students. On Friday, there were two performances at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Saturday morning, there was a show at 11 a.m. and another at 2 p.m. Tickets were $4 at the door. No one person stole the spotlight because the cast and crew worked equally as hard. It was a group collaboration, said Miss McMenamin, the director. I spoke to makeup designer Diane Zibikowski, and she said the show was a huge success. Although we didn't have a full house, the audience was very responsive, and the whole company seemed to have a lot of fun. And speaking of things theatrical, here's Sam Brown with this week's movie review. Dan?
Thank you, Andrea. Barry Levinson's new film Sleepers, based on the controversial novel by Lorenzo Carcaterra, is about as good as things get in Hollywood today. This movie stars Robert De Niro, Brad Pitt, Dustin Hoffman, Kevin Bacon, and several other big names, and all turn in simply outstanding performances, particularly De Niro and Hoffman. As the 2.5-hour film says, this is the true story of friendship that runs deeper than blood, about four Hell's Kitchen teenagers growing up in hard times in 1967. Their bond seemed to be all that matters to them, and when a prank of stealing a hot dog stand goes terribly wrong, the four find themselves with year-long sentences in the Wilkinson Home for Boys. Enduring merciless torture, isolation, and horrifying sexual abuse from the guards, one of which is Kevin Bacon, the innocence within them is lost, and they are all scarred for life from the experience. The movie then shifts to 1981 when the revenge begins. Two of the now-grown boys kill one of the Wilkinson guards and are put on trial with drug-addicted attorney Dustin Hoffman as their last hope. Brad Pitt plays Michael, one of the boys, and the lawyer prosecuting his two friends. Jason Patric is Lorenzo Shakes Carcaterra, working the sidelines of the trial and figuring a way to help his friends beat the rap. Robert De Niro is a streetwise priest who's known the boys since their childhood and is called upon to lie under oath on their behalf. Sleepers is absolutely mesmerizing and riveting in every sense. The acting, the writing, the directing of Academy Award winner Barry Levinson is just superb. However, I have to warn some of you with uneasy stomachs, the scenes and flashbacks at the sadistic Wilkinson home is really some disturbing and sickening material. Despite the queasy feelings produced, Sleepers earns 4 stars out of 4 and is really a masterpiece. How true of a story is it? I have no idea, but it's a fantastically made movie. I'm Dan Brown, now back to the West Report.
Actors, singers, lighting, sound, and stage crew won it. What for? The students from Russell Knight School will be putting on Oliver with the help of West students. Students should be available from Monday, November 18th through Saturday, November 23rd. Rehearsals will be after school until about 5:30 p.m. at both schools. The 2 performances will be on Friday night, November 22nd at 7:30, and Saturday afternoon, November 23rd at 1. If you're interested, please sign up at Mrs. Riley's office by this Friday, November 1st. This Saturday, November 2nd, the West PTA will be sponsoring the 6th Annual Craft Show. It will be held inside West from 9 till 3. Homemade crafts and baked goods will be sold. This is a perfect time to get a head start on that holiday shopping. Admission is free. And here's Laura Vogel with this week's sports.
The Lions soccer team ended its regular season this week with an outstanding record of 11-1-2. First, the boys triumphed with a series of shutouts as they blanked Washington Township 1-0, followed by a win over Pennsauken 3-0. The Lions then went on to trounce Edgewood 4-1 with goals by Kevin Jones, Tom Maloney, and Steve Kwasniewski with 2. This week, the boys begin to prepare for the upcoming state tournament. The Lady Lions soccer team did not fare as well, however, as they failed to make this year's state tournament. However, they were able to end their season on a high note as they shut out Edgewood 4-0. Scoring for the girls was Tracy Patella and Michelle Beard with 2 goals apiece. This game thus concludes the season for the girls, and we wish them congratulations for a season full of hard work and dedication. The Lions football team faced another defeat this week as they lost to Woodrow Wilson 33-0. The boys will try to regroup this week as they face Camden Catholic at home as they look ahead to the homecoming game versus Cherry Hill East only 3 weeks away. In girls volleyball action, the Lady Lions, who ended their season with a superior record of 13-0, this week clinched the Olympic Conference title for the 2nd year in a row with a 2-0 victory over Eastern. Senior Melissa Lampa had 10 service winners to lead the girls. This week, the girls begin to prepare for their upcoming battle in the state tournament. The boys' gymnastics team suffered a defeat this week at the hands of Cherry Hill East, losing by a small margin with a score of 113.2 to 101.1. Despite the loss, however, there are a few highlights from the boys. Ben Strawn placed first on the vault and parallel bars, as well as the all-around. Freshman John Jennings also recorded his first placement of the season as he took 3rd on the pommel horse. The boys regrouped, however, as they went on to defeat Toms River North 96.4 to 90.25, with the help of senior Dan Sestair, who placed 2nd on the vault and 3rd on the rings, floor, and all-around. One additional sports story this week, the West Report was able to catch up with the 2 captains of the boys soccer team and talk to them about their fantastic season.
I'm here with Mark Bush and Mike Young from the soccer team. Hi, Don.
Yeah.
How has the team regrouped from last season?
Last season we had a pretty tough year, but I think the key is for us to really learn from what happened last year, and we're carrying that over this year. We're taking from it what we can learn, and forgetting the bad stuff.
All right, good. How does the team stand in South Jersey?
Right now, depending on which poll you look at, in South Jersey, we're number 2 in the Inquirer poll and number 3 in the Courier Post poll.
What were some of the goals the team had coming into this season?
This year we had 3 primary goals. One was to make the Coaches Association tournament, and the second one was to make the state tournament and have a high seed in that tournament, and the third was to win the Olympic National Division.
Have you reached them?
Well, right now, we're looking pretty good in our conference. We're leading the conference race. And we have a high seeding coming into the Coaches tournament. It starts up, and we're looking pretty good for qualifying for the state tournament. So we're on our way.
What are the more competitive teams in South Jersey?
I think right now the top team in both polls is Cherry Hill East. But in addition to them, I think Lenape and Shawnee and Cherokee, having come into our conference, have really added a lot of quality to the conference, and those are pretty much the top teams.
How do you feel you rank with them?
Well, we played all those teams right now. We tied Shawnee, we beat Lenape, and we lost 1-0 to Charlie. So we're 1 goal away in all those games. So it seems like we're doing pretty well.
Having a primarily senior team, do you feel this is to your advantage?
I think we have a lot of guys who have the experience and have been around for a while, and that helps, later in the season when the pressure starts coming in the tournaments. I think we have guys who have dealt with it before, and a lot of teams we play have younger players. So I think it'll help us, stay poised in pressure situations.
All right, my final question is, both of you played on the team 2 years ago, the very successful one. How do you feel this team compares to that one?
I think they're a lot similar. The team 2 years ago had a lot of seniors and good senior leadership, and I think that's one of our strengths this year. And both teams seem to be pretty defensive, so I think they're pretty similar.
I'd have to agree with Mark in that we do have a strong leadership base. I think the primary difference is that our offense is probably a lot stronger, and that paired with an excellent defense that's, I think, 4th in South Jersey right now, I think we could go just as far as that team 2 years ago.
All right. Thanks a lot for both of you coming in today. I'll turn it back to the West Report.
On November 4th, the American Red Cross is holding a blood drive in the wrestling room from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. You must be at least 17 years old and weigh 110 pounds or more to donate. At the registration area, you will need your Social Security number and possibly another form of ID. You will also need to know the names of any prescription medication you are taking or have taken in the last month. Please sign up. Your donation could save a child's life. The SATs will be held this Saturday, November 2nd. Be sure to bring your number 2 pencils and proper identification. Good luck. The Thanksgiving food drive is here again. The freshman class is asked to bring pasta and rice. Sophomores can meat and fish. The juniors can fruit, meats, and fish. The senior class is asked to donate 50 cents or more towards turkeys. All contributions will be given to needy families in the area. You are asked to give all food and donations to the homeroom reps. All donations are due by November 15th.
West's next pep rally is scheduled for November 27th, the day before the Thanksgiving break. Mrs. Manadier is in desperate need of suggestions for different activities. All ideas are appreciated. You can find Mrs. Manadier in B2. West's first International Day is approaching. On Wednesday, November 6th, there will be plenty to do. Be sure to dress up in your favorite ethnic outfit. Every person who dresses up earns spirit points for their grade level. Don't forget, at 5:30, ethnic foods will be served, and at 7:30, the ethnic dancing will begin. Hope to see you there.
Are you doing anything tonight? Well, relinquish those eggs, give up the silly string, and pick up a pen. You still have time to get over to West. Aspects, the literary magazine, is sponsoring a poetry reading tonight in the library from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can bring your own poetry or share another poet's work. Tickets are $1.50 in advance or $2 at the door. Refreshments will be served. Thank you for watching the West Report. Be sure to tune in next week at this time. Happy Halloween. Good night.
Good night.